Hello everyone, welcome back to another exciting tutorial. I hope you guys are doing great. In our previous tutorial, we modeled this 3D bottle in 3D Studio Max. Today we'll see how to render this bottle using Arnold renderer in 3D Studio Max, obviously. Beside that, we'll create material, set up HDRI lighting, and there are a lot of other things coming. So without further ado, let's get started. To start, we need a base in our scene. So here I'm just creating a simple box and placing it in the center. Maybe I can make it a little bigger. Next, we need to add a light. Since we are using Arnold renderer today, I am adding an Arnold light. To preview the render, let's open the render setup. Currently, the resolution is set to 1280 by 720 pixel, but you can increase it to 1920 by 1080 for better quality. For the renderer, select Arnold, then switch to Arnold renderer tab and increase the camera anti-alias value to 6 to get smoother edges. You can choose to render with either CPU or GPU. Today I'm using GPU rendering, and that's pretty much it. Arnold is great because it requires very little setup before rendering. Next, let's check the render by clicking on the production render button. You can see the current render in progress. Since I only want to render a specific area, I can set the render region to cover just the part that I want. Alternatively, I can click on the play button to enable the continuous rendering. For example, if I move the light upward, you will notice the render update in real time. Now we need to adjust the lighting. At first, I don't want this light to be a quad light. I will use a sky dome light. This will light up the entire scene evenly. Let me turn on the show save frame to see the exact camera view or exact render area. You can press the 1:1 button on the Arnold render view window to view the actual size of the render image. Now I will rename this light to sky. Now we need to add a texture to the sky dome light. Basically, we're going to use this light as an HDRI light. So I click on the No Map button to open the material or map browser. From here, let's go to Maps, then General, select Bitmap. Now select the HDRI file. You can see the texture map is added. We have one more setting left. To access it, press M on the keyboard to open the material editor. From the scene selection window, I will select the skylight. Now, if I drag the HDRI map here and choose Instance, I can modify the map setting directly from here whenever needed. I want this HDRI image to be used as environment. Let's change the mapping type from screen to spherical environment. Now it will work as a 360-degree image. We can also preview it, and I'll show you how. While the Arnold light is selected, enable the light shape visible checkbox, and we can see the background clearly on the Arnold renderer window, right? If I move or orbit the camera now, you will notice the background moves accordingly. This confirms our HDRI setup is correct. Actually, I don't need to see the light shape itself as a background, so I will turn off the light shape visible checkbox. Next, I need to add something for the background. Of course, we don't want to have just a simple black background, right? So I'm adding another plane. Rotate this plane to 90 degrees to position it correctly. For this plane, we'll use another texture. Today, we'll use this texture as the background. If you check its properties, it says 480 by 720 pixel. We can drag this image onto the plane to add the image as the texture. Adjust the plane's rotation and width and height to match the image ratio. You can insert the width and height of the image into the image plane and scale to fit the window. While doing that, continuously check the render view to adjust the image plane position correctly. You can press Ctrl+C to create a camera from the active viewport. So as soon as I press the Ctrl+C on my keyboard, you can see a camera is created. I'm just adjusting the camera a bit and you can see it is set as a physical camera. By the way, if you have a physical camera on the scene, make sure to open the environment tab by pressing 8 from the keyboard and check if there is any exposure control added automatically. If there is any exposure control, you must remove this, at least for this tutorial. Let's add a proper name for all of our object. Rename the physical camera to cam. Rename the background image plane as BG. Most of the objects are renamed accordingly. Rename the box as base. If you open the Arnold renderer window, we have the real-time rendering turned on and we are only interested in the bottle rendering, so I can draw a render region around it. Press the 1:1 button to show the render image at real size. From now on, whenever we make changes, only this area will be updated in the render view. We'll need to open the Slate Material Editor by pressing M from the keyboard. Press right-click to open the context menu. Go to Material, then Arnold, then Surface, and select Standard Surface Material. Or you might have this left panel open. Here you can just search for Standard Surface or directly navigate through the Materials, Arnold, Surface, and Standard Surface. All the methods work the same, so I'm closing the left panel for now. This material will be our base material. With the base selected to the left window, right-click on the material and choose Assign to Selection. Now the base has this material. I want to apply a wooden texture to the base, so I'm going to drag a wooden image to the Slate editor. Double-click to the base material to see all of its properties. I can change its colors from here. Now, if I can connect the texture to the color map of the base material, you will see the base in the render has been updated with the new wooden texture. For now, I'm turning off the crop region to see the full render. Let's minimize the renderer window and the material editor too, and switching to the perspective camera view. Now, if I zoom out, you will notice that the texture details aren't very clear, right? I can increase the width of the box slightly and add a modifier called UVW map. By default, it's set to planar, but I will change it to box. Click here to select the gizmo. When I select the gizmo, it becomes active. It is also showing a bounding box for the mapping. I can scale this gizmo to adjust the texture placement, although I could scale it precisely. For this tutorial, a rough adjustment is fine. Next, enable the angle snap to make the rotation easier and rotate it by 90 degrees. Then scale slightly to fit the image. Clicking once, deactivate the gizmo. Select the camera, press C to switch to camera view, and now I think it's looking better. Now open the render view and render the whole scene. If I hit play, it will start rendering continuously. While that's running, there's one more thing I want to do, and that is add a bit of reflection to the base. So open the Slate Material Editor and double click on the base material to see its parameter. The red color is a bit too intense, right? But there's no specific reason for it to be red, so I'm going to reset it to white. The base is still reflective because the specular value is set to 1. If I reduce the specular roughness to 0, you will see more reflection here. I'm going to set it up as 0.4 for a balanced look. Now our base is ready. I'm activating the crop region again and selecting a specific area. Basically, this is to speed up the render process, nothing more than that. Now let's apply a material to the cap. Select the cap and then go to Material, Arnold, Surface and choose Standard Surface Material. Rename it as Cap and assign it by right-clicking and selecting Assign to Selection. The material is now applied to the cap. I want it to look a bit like steel, so I will adjust the metalness value here. I will set the metalness to 1, which gives it a metallic appearance. You can also set the specular roughness to 0.1 if you want less blurred reflectivity. I think 0.15 works well for this case. Alright, now let's focus on the bottle. Again, right click and select material, Arnold, surface, and then standard surface material. To make it glass, I will keep the specular value as it is. Glass usually has very low roughness, so I will set that to 0. IOR, or index of refraction, is an interesting value because different objects have different IOR. Since Arnold is a physically accurate renderer, we'll use the actual IOR value here. For clear glass, I know it is 1.333. We are not gonna increase the metalness value here. There's nothing else to change except the transmission. I'm gonna set it to 1 to make it fully transparent. Since the bottle is already selected, I can right click and choose assign material to selection. Now you can see our glass material applied to the bottle. So this concludes the second part of our tutorial series. In the next part, we'll add the water inside the bottle and also add the sticker to the bottle. Thank you for your patience and staying with me, and good night.